Keenan-Bolger.
Hi, I'm John Ellison Conlee.
I'm Maggie Keenan-Bolger.
And I'm Andrew Keenan-Bolger, and the youngest.
Unbelievable.
Fantastic. What a great, yeah. Can we talk privately later? Great, such a great family. I love all of them, and the experience of marrying into the family was great, and I feel like I play a vital function whenever we're together, because I'm sort of the marking post. They can look to see my head above height, and they're like, oh, let's all meet at John or something like that. So I feel like I bring something, which is good.
Also at holidays, if we're cooking, you can always reach the things that we only pull out once a year,
I can reach
like
the
on the
things
high shelves.
And Celia can climb through a dog door if necessary. So that's right. We're a good combination in that way.
Mm-hmm. It's like one of the best parts of my whole life, I think. Honestly, living in the same place as my siblings and getting to be married to John and having all of us here and having a sort of extended family, it's so much better when you get to be close to your family. I feel like we grew up pretty close to our grandparents. We grew up close to my mother's siblings. And so we're used to having that sort of family dynamic. And I think it makes me really happy. We just spent the day together for no reason, because we live in the same city. So it's wonderful. It's wonderful personally, and it's also wonderful, I think, for all of us to feel supported in our careers.
Sure, yeah. I mean, we grew up with parents who are really socially involved in inner city Detroit, which is sort of a very fascinating place to grow up. And, I think they instilled in all of us a really sort of deep sense of social justice and of standing up for, folks who are not stood up for enough. And I think, in different ways it sort of played out in all of our lives. And it's really important to all of us as well.
It was the greatest. I mean, because I have a unique perspective because I was the only boy, so I got a lot of attention from my sisters and was picked on quite a bit as well, but nothing that I wasn't asking for or deserved. So it was amazing, though, having siblings. I think, especially the reason that I'm in this career at all is because I think Maggie and I grew up watching Celia perform, and that was so formative at such a young age. And I think we really just wanted to be like Celia, because she's enough of an age difference. Maggie and I were really close, so we would be a little more "Arr!" But Celia was always the cool older sister. Now I think Maggie's the cooler one, but she's right here. No, but I was really lucky, and especially being a boy and having two older sisters, I lucked out and continue to luck out every day. I guess I'll start. I feel like what I've been most happy with in my career is just how this sort of working relationship that I've been able to build with people, and I think that started at the top. It started from Celia showing how important it is to be grateful and have a lot of gratitude towards the people you're working with and the people you're employed by. And she has the best reputation of anyone in this business. Everyone wants to work with her, and she totally does, except for John. But I think that was something that I learned, how important that is, in that if it's one thing to be really talented, which she is, and but I think if you're someone who everyone wants to work with, that will get you just as many jobs. And I learned that from her for sure. I think from Maggie is so much what I learned from my parents is learning to stand up for the people who do not have the power a lot of times to make their voices heard. All of her work with the LGBT community, with the homeless community, and her way that she's been able to infuse that in arts. I feel like that is, I'm so inspired by that, and the work that she's done to kind of mesh our parents' worlds, which were very like socially active, and the theater worlds that we've been a part of. She's found that perfect relationship where the two meet, and I'm really inspired by that and learn stuff from her every day.
Thanks. Yeah, I feel like I'm in a really lucky situation where I have two siblings who have names that people recognize, and oftentimes I'll be seen as sort of like we didn't know that there was another one. And it happens to me a lot, but at the same time, I feel like they both really value, and what Andrew just said, where I am very lucky in that they very much value the work that I do, even though it's not necessarily as publicized or as traditional as what is often talked about or publicized, and to be able to have them like hardcore in my corner and able to sort of use that as a way to get the things that I work on, give them a voice and give them a venue is really amazing. And I think I would not be as happy doing the work that I do if I didn't have sort of the complete familial support that these guys provide.
I'm going to go both ends of this. I'm going to do you guys as a unit, which is that I feel like for so long, because I was the older sibling, I felt like I was the older one. And now getting to be sort of peers, I feel so incredibly inspired by the ways that both of them have taken not just like their careers, but ideas that they've had and made their own path. They have not followed a template of like how things get done. I'm so like inspired by the initiative and the community that they built around themselves. But really, like, if I look at my career, it's very much about like I auditioned and then I got jobs and then that was my life. And like that is so not the way that they have built their lives. And I feel incredibly inspired and proud of that. And then meeting John, I also feel like has changed my career so much. Like I remember going to do the Glass Menagerie, and John was doing Murder Ballad and the Madrid at the same time, and couldn't come see the show. And I remember thinking, like, I won't be good in this because I won't have John to come and see it and like help me be better. And I mean
sure
that.
Enough, word is. Not a very successful performance.
But I feel so supported as an actor, as a wife, as a friend, as everything that I could want to go home to at night. I feel like my life is just so much better because I get to be married to this person. And I think that I didn't ever really think I would get married to an actor, and now I can't imagine it any other way. So
the sort of political activism and the choice to try and improve the world that you live in is much more. I've been very profoundly affected by Celia and Maggie and Andrew and the choices that they make, and the amount of hard work that they put into really trying to affect positive change in lots of ways. And that's been a really wonderful and gratifying thing to be a part of. And I'd always had political and social thoughts about things that I wanted to make, ways in which I wanted to make a difference. But these guys really do it and have inspired me to be more active in that way. That's something that I really value of them.
I recently saw Matilda, and from the second that little girl walked on the stage, I was like, Maggie Keenan-Bolger would have won a Tony Award for this if this happened at the right time, because Matilda is Maggie, minus like the terrible parents and like a not loving environment, but she was the smartest. For sure, she's the smartest of all the KBs. She learned how to read when she was like a year old, and was always a year ahead of me in school and made me look so stupid because we'd have the same teachers. They're like, well, Maggie's already reading chapter books. But like that precocious, just like never stop learning and just emotionally available type person. I would cast Maggie as Matilda. She's still young looking, so maybe in the right venue. At the Muni, maybe a big open air theater.
I was trying to think. I feel like I want to see Andrew play something. We were just talking earlier. Like, I would like to see Andrew play somebody like grown up and that's right. Like, that's for starters, because he is like a real grown up in so many ways, in his life, and also a real kid in a lot of ways in his life, which I appreciate. But like something just very different from what he usually gets to do. And I feel like Maggie, I just want Maggie to keep making what she makes, because every experience I've seen, like with the devised theater, it is so different. Either she's in it or she's not, but what the work brings out is such an authenticity in each person that's a part of it, and I want just more of that. John, I want something like, I feel like you've played 2 beat up husbands, and I want you to play something like wild and crazy for your next one.
Yeah, no more beat up husbands.
No.
I'd just like to see all of you do everything. I enjoy that.
Sweet.
Something where all 4 of us got to do
I was
something
going to
together.
say,
Yeah,
yeah.
that would be
Right.
awesome.
I think I kept that.
You kept that for a little while.
Where I was like, don't.
The night before the wedding.
Well, there was the part because I had met your mom.
That's right.
That's
right. So you must have revealed that
around
fairly
that
early.
time. Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you feel weird?
I was already.
With all the pictures.
I was already in, so I was not weirded out by it. But as I've said before, I am really glad if my mother, in fact, as the story goes, did say, "Oh, I met this amazing woman, Celia Keenan-Bolger, and you should give her a call." I'm really glad that I have no memory of that happening, because then that would have prevented this from happening for sure.
I do remember that, like, our first date being like, do not under any circumstance tell him that you've met his mother. And I was like 10 minutes in and I was like, I met your mom like 5 years ago. But I think that was also because I just felt like if I say that, it will be okay. Like, he won't think I'm crazy. So...
Yes. Yes. As Celia just said, I played back-to-back, or I'm currently doing in a terrible stage marriage after being in another horrible stage marriage. And that just makes me appreciate more how that is not my reality in any way. So I'm very happy about that.
I also think I feel so lucky to be someone who generally has, I think, genes that point me in the direction of feeling pretty good, and that I really like playing parts that are sometimes a little bit dark or sad. And especially, I think that would be a lot harder if I felt that way all the time in my life. That part of it is, I mean, you learn things about yourself when you have to play those kind of roles, but I also think you want to be able to let go of it when you walk off stage, and I think that makes it a lot easier if you have people around you that encourage a more positive environment.
Mm-hmm.